What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 273 of Littleroot Lessons. I'm your host, Rho, and I'm joined by the hardest working producer in Pokemon podcasting, Carl. See, got that on the first try this time.
There we go. Look at that.
Said all my words right.
No double takes, no triple takes needed.
What word did I mess up last time?
You couldn't say, Oh, I can't remember now.
I can't either.
Watch it. I'll insert it here. Bam. Done.
Yeah. I could have been a good cold open for last week. Outside of I definitely swore within the first
100%. You definitely did,
yeah.
So I couldn't use it.
Yeah. Today my nephew Camden picked up a 4-letter word that begins with F that I say a lot. It's fine, and that's what it was. I said, "It's fine, buddy," and he looked at me and he said, "It's fine." And I'm like, "Aw." Like, so they both will pick, like, and they're 2.5 now, and they both definitely pick up words. They're super smart. They count. They can spell their own names. And sometimes I'll say, a bigger word. I mean, "it's fine" is that's nothing. They should be able to pick that up. But like, sometimes I'll be like, "Come on, buddy, it's an adventure. It's adventure time." And it's like, "Adventure," and like he'll just understand what I'm talking about. And
I as someone who's currently going through the talking phase for a small child, they definitely understand more than they can say.
Yeah.
Amelia, my daughter, does not have the greatest expressive language. She's currently going through that learning phase right now, but I can give her complex commands and she will go do them.
Yeah.
She has figured out that what words mean, she just hasn't figured out quite how to save them.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I love just being around them. We were at my wife's cousin's house for a birthday party, and well behind them, like over their fence, there's a bunch of school buses, and both of the boys really like buses, cars, trucks, all that stuff, especially my nephew Weston. And so Weston kept on coming up, he was like, "Uncle, school bus," and he wanted me to put him on his shoulder, put him on my shoulders,
pick him up,
so he could look at it. And then he just started counting the school buses. I'm like, "Buddy, you're so smart." I'm like, "I can't count. I need my fingers to do that. It's fine." I can't count, especially because Zhezang, even though he came in second this weekend, he is first in my heart and in New England's heart.
Yeah, it was a very fun best of 3 to watch. I will say that it was very, very entertaining.
Yeah,
we were chatting back and forth during it while it was happening. Unfortunately, could not quite get luck to break their way. Granted, they also had a lot of luck going into their top 4 match that went their way, so it's kind of just like went back the other way, goes back and forth, kind of whatever.
Yeah. And the tournament we're talking about, of course, is Portland Regionals. We should have let off with that. And it's very important. This was the last major before NAIC in North America.
The last North American regional. Yeah. I think it's the last regional.
It is the last regional. Well, outside of there might be another South African regional, but those are, as we were also saying, those are the South African regional this week was 4 rounds of Swiss into a top 4. There were 13 people there. Cheese League locals, or just really almost any locals in New England, are usually twice the size. So those aren't that. Chongjun was there and didn't win. I was happy. It's nice that a South African player actually did win.
I always feel bad just hearing about how players are traveling that far just to snipe a Worlds invite, because that's the system that Pokemon's created now. Yep. It's just we're gonna put these regions and give them their own events. Well, they're not big enough, popular enough to get a bunch of people there, so it feels like it's a much easier time to go and snipe a, what was it, 14 people? Is that 13. What you said it was?
13 people.
A 13-person event. Just go and snipe that versus playing the 466 in Portland, right?
Yeah, and not to call out players' names specifically, but the fact that there's a player there who, this is the second time they've flown from America to South Africa to top 4 a regional. They're going to end up in the top 75 probably, or at least the top 75 minus auto invites. And that player at an American event hasn't day 2'd. So as you were saying, you're dodging the smoke. You're purposely playing in easy mode. Just it's not great. This is the reason why we don't have OCIC anymore, because Australians never won it. It was always Americans, Europeans, or Japanese players. And don't be shocked if, like, I know Carl and I, we were talking before, saying like American players or like North American players can only play in North American regionals. Europeans can only play in European regionals. Maybe they do it a little less.
That might be something that that happens just because of the situation.
Or at
Which
least
it's even crazier to me to go and fly to South Africa to try and spike one of these events, because they're all special events. There's no prize, like big prize money like in the regionals. So traveling that far to try and spike this just for like a shot at an auto invite, and doing it twice means that it's just like, that's a huge money sink.
Yeah. No, it is. Flights are expensive, and especially to South Africa, like it is the full blown definition of wallet warrior. But
now I'm interested.
Yeah. What, you're looking at how much? I can get the location.
It's it was in Durban, so if I wanted to leave from Kansas City to Durban, it would cost me at least $2,000 round trip.
Yeah, for me, it would have been. Give me a second. I'm just going to put in.
Also, there's no flight that takes less than 24 hours.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, it looks like the cheap flights would be like $1,400 for me. But I mean, Boston's a much larger airport than KC. But, like, still, and you're flying the full day.
Like, there was one from Kansas City to Durban that was 3 stops, 26 hours, which that's still a lot.
Yeah,
it was actually more expensive than the cheapest flight to do that. The fastest flight is always going to be more expensive, right?
Yeah.
And so, that's crazy to me that somebody's like, I'm going to drop $5,000 probably in these 2 flights to try and spike an auto invite, and then probably not make money back on this investment unless I'm like traveling there for like work or something.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But yeah, no, this was in a real city, well, real-ish city. Portland's relatively, they have a pro sports team. They're real. They're real.
City. Portland's considered a city.
Yeah, they're real. And yeah, let's get into it. In the Pacific Northwest, sadly, the rain went and overshadowed the sun.
Yeah.
This Calyrex Ice Kyogre team is something that I purposely wasn't talking about or mentioning. It was doing pretty well in the Japanese Best of One sphere, and a couple of my locals, including one who attended this event, Anthony Londergan, and along with Chase Mateo, who's playing in an Italian event next week, which I know we're just saying like flying for like going to different events. He has Italian citizenship, so it's fine.
Yeah, that one's understandable.
Yeah, this is a vacation with his significant other. And
that just happens to be the same.
Yes.
It's the same weekend as the special events. Which I was going to bring up is there is the special event in Italy next weekend.
Yep.
That's technically your last chance to get an auto invite before NAIC. But again, it's also flying to Italy to go play in it. It's maybe it might get televised.
That
I haven't heard anything about coverage yet.
That one should be. I would be shocked if they aren't covering it. They've been really good in the last couple years of having the real the legitimate official like Pokemon channel coverage, and not just VR doing it themselves on their Twitch.
Well,
even for the special events.
The Pokemon company stole all their casters.
So. Well, they're getting paid now, so.
I think VR paid them before, but yeah.
But still, and you could still see it is like the VR people, because the Switch names are Victory Road or VR or something. Only if they would play through their Switches more to get more than 6 songs.
Right?
Yeah.
Please. Granted, that's fine. But yeah, Kyogre CIR, which it was funny, this week leading up into Portland, I literally like mentioned in our little channel, it's like, hey, Kyogre CIR. This is interesting because Japan has been all over this.
Yeah, and you know how I didn't say anything and just was like, oh yeah,
just
cool,
left me high and dry. I was like, man, I'm pretty sure this is actually something that's cool, and like Rho's just ignoring me. Sure,
yeah, because
I post a lot in that chat, and y'all just ignore me all the time. So
I'm part of it was I was working, and also that was like I'm not talking about this to anyone, because I'm like my friends are, well, at least one of my friends is fighting for his Worlds Invite Life. I'm like, I'm not letting this get out anywhere. And, you know, he came in 40th, so that was great. And it was definitely, like, he had the right idea. The team ended up winning, or at least this archetype. And there's a lot of really cool things. You have the No Protect on Fluttermane, with both Taunt and Icy Wind.
Like, it feels almost necessary. It's like, the whole reason you play Protect on your Sash Buns usually is like, oh, I gotta play around Fake Out and things like that. Fluttermane doesn't have to worry about that. Being the ghost type, so it's like your sash is never going to just be broken like off of a Fake Out for free. So it's more of they have to double into your Fluttermane to pick up the sash. So not having the protect here is fine. I like, this is Gavin Michaels' team. Obviously, Gavin Michaels won. There was 5 of these Kyogre CIR teams in day 2, if I did my math correctly earlier in the day.
I thought if 5, I might
5 or 7. I can't remember what I said. I have it. There's written down somewhere. There's
it was
5
7.
Or 7. Okay.
It was 7.
So they're not. None of them are really all quite the same. They're all kind of just slightly different tweaks. Some of them are more focused on leaning harder into the rain. Gavin's is kind of in the middle of leaning hard into rain while also having some tools from like the CIR Leech Seed Miraidon teams in like Grimmsnarl. And a redirector, like in this case, is a Moongus, because obviously you don't really want to play Volcarona on your rain team.
You could put Hurricane on it.
Yeah, you still don't want to be taking any extra water damage.
No.
So having a Moongus instead of the Volcarona being your redirector there is probably a better swap. And then they leaned harder into a little bit of the rain. They have the Basculegion there to take advantage of that. Basculegion being a Pokemon that we saw a ton in previous formats on the Archaludon Rain team. And so Basculegion is a mon that like I look at and it's like it's almost powerful enough. It needs that little extra bit of help, which Kyogre gives it. With being able to get the extra damage off of the rain and having the extra speed from Swift Swim and things like that.
One of the things I really like about this team is the Grim set. We very rarely see this double attack Grim, especially, and you are leaning into both of its stabs. You still have the Light Screen and the Reflect, which are staple. Well, I'd say that they're staples, but we also saw some Grims that we've seen Grims that weren't playing the screens game, but we haven't really seen screens Grims that also went with double offense as well. The Sucker Punch was a really great call into this metagame. There was actually ended up being a lot of success as well from Calyrex Shadow, which had a really good week. And the Spirit, and of course Spirit Break is just always good.
Spirit Break is always going to have value, whether it's going to hit a Koraidon, hit a Terra Dark or Terra Normal CSR, and hit it for a chunk.
The Mirai.
There's always going to be value there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the triple water Kyogre, this is what Kyogre is just wanting to do. It's just like, I'm gonna lean into my water type attacks. I got single target Hydro Pump. I got Origin Pulse when Water Spout's bad. And I got Water Spout to just pick up nukes. That's its job.
Yeah,
I like that. I like just being all water moves. The format right now doesn't have a ton of like big water resists outside of the like Mushroom and Rillaboom.
The dragons as well, but
like,
again, it's
the one of the dragons wants to always tear into fire.
Yep.
So so it's like, and then when the other one tears, it's not into a water resist. So it's like, no, this is still good. Especially having Ice Rider next to it forces that Terra a lot of the time. And so being all water it's actually perfectly fine.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of its best moves are the water type attacks. You really want to play the multipliers game. I am a broken
It just
record.
really sucks relying on Hydro Pump accuracy. It just really, really sucks.
It does, but it at least gives you a legitimate play out of a wide guard spam. because like let's just say that was Ice Beam, then
this team
you're playing for freeze.
Hard loses to wide guard spam.
Yeah. And the Hydro Pump makes it so that you can actually play through
it. Gives you something besides just sitting there watching Leech Seed tick down on Zamazenta.
Yep.
But yeah. Also, I want to call out the Terra Fairy Calyrex Ice Rider. It's a fun change. It was something that saw a little bit of like early play when the format was before Milwaukee was like in the VR tournaments. We saw a little bit of Terra Fairy, Calyrex Ice. It helps into like the Miraidon matchup a little bit because you're not Terra Water anymore. Now you're Terra Fairy, so they can't just click Draco safely into you. And you could actually spec to live a lot of the electric type attacks out of Miraidon with Grimmsnarl on your team, plus Amoonguss is redirecting, things like that. So Terra Fairy feels super duper safe. And that might become the second popular Terra. We'll see. We've also got some Terra Grass ones to talk about later on. So there was a lot to like about. There's a lot of fluidity in these Kyogre, Calyrex Ice Rider teams right now because Japan didn't actually give us any sets. They just like showed off their team pictures and blocked all their items because they still have another event to play, and so they didn't want to give out all their secrets yet.
Yep. Now, moving from the rain into the sun, Jay Zhang, again, the People's Champion.
Is this carbon copy of the Melbourne team? Is this like
I don't think it's carbon copy. I think the sets might be different. Let me pull up the Melbourne team because I can't remember.
I think this is like Mon for Mon because I remember Aquajet Walking Wake being a big thing in that set. Because it picked up a KO on a Fluttermane that it had to. Otherwise, they ended up losing that match. But I think this is like Mon for Mon, the exact same. Let me
see. Melbourne. Come on, Tim. Yeah, it's the exact same 6. And let me see where are we at with the sets. That's No, it's not the exact same 6. Melbourne had an Incineroar, and Ja had the Brute Bonnet, so that was the main difference between the teams. We do see the Walking Wake as this Terra Water AVmon. They went as well, like this physical Covert Cloak, Galarian Weezing. Of course, you have the Ability Shield, Koraidon, the Scarf Chiyu, and the Calyrex as well. Yep, the same exact set. Not the difference there is Joe went with the Spooky Plate, while Masayoshi, who won Melbourne, went with a Sash on the Calyrex. Those were like the small differences there. Having the redirection in Brute Bonnet is really great, and there were definitely moments...
having the redirection means you can get away with the Spooky Plate.
Yeah, and one of the things, and we kind of saw, at least not directly, the importance of it because Brute Bonnet was never able to click Rage Powder in Game 1, but we saw how important it would have been when it was an immediate taunt target for Gavin's Fluttermane, and that taunt really made sure that the game was going to stay in Gavin's control, because the Brute Bonnet was able to do this redirection, was able to put Pokemon to sleep. It would have been a much different game.
Yeah. Which Gavin, on his way to the finals, had beat a Galarian Weezing Koraidon team earlier, and Gavin didn't even have to use more than 2 Pokemon.
The big difference...
The issue there was...
no taunt on Weezing.
No taunt on Weezing. No taunt or Willow on Weezing meant that Gavin had literally nothing to fear.
Yeah.
Because you just Terra Fairy or Calyrex Ice Rider in front of the Weezing plus whatever, and you set Trick Room for free. So it's just like, well, what am I going to do to this? Well, I can't taunt it. I can't stop this. I'm not OHKOing this Pokemon with my team. So I'm just going to lose slowly, or I'm going to have Dozo and still lose slowly.
Yeah, that is like putting the taunt on Weezing, and the taunt was also
the taunt
there
is super important. In my
yeah,
opinion.
it's also there because this team really, as we saw in the finals, doesn't like playing in Trick Room, and it was really weird. Like, so in game 2, the Trick Room gets up, and it was in a weird place where Joe wanted the Q, like his Q, to actually go down to just get the bonnet in and like try to like actually play around it and get the slow Pokemon in, and of course lost game 1 because of of their own poison gas miss.
Yeah,
And
which the animation for that seems to be broken.
Yeah, because so the animation happens and then they say if it missed or not, and that's bullshit.
Which is not how like any other move in Pokemon works.
Yeah, I thought, I was like, yes, we got it. Flutter's going down, it's going to be handled, and then Caster's curse, Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron's Cybertron just cursed the heck out of.
Just not happy.
But yeah, like we talk about this team a lot in Melbourne. It's doing a lot of the same similar things. Brute Bonnet over Incineroar, they both kind of fill a similar role. It's just like damage reduction plus start coverage for opposing CSR. The Terra Fire means that this literally is kind of just like effectively an Incineroar in certain situations. It's just like I'm going to have a lot of the same resists, and I can use my Terra to do all of the same things. It's like it fills a very similar role. It's just doing a slightly different thing with like Spore instead of Willow, and Seed Bomb for better Kyogre coverage, better water type coverage. One of the big things about Brute Bonnet is it's actually able to live a lot of hits from the Calyrex Ice Rider with the Sun Up, and even being like a Terra Fire means that you're resisting Glacial Lance. They're less likely to click Leech Seed into you initially, and a lot of CIR are that Terra Water set, so having Seed Bomb means that you have at least some kind of stab super effective damage into them in some shape or fashion, whether they Terra or not. That I think the Terra Fairy was a big reason why
if it was
had a lot of problems.
Yeah, if it was Terra Water, the Bonnet would have been a lot more powerful, would have definitely been able to pick up, like, actually threatening on whether it was with the Sucker or the Seed Bomb, be able to always threaten super effective damage. By having that super safe Terra Fairy, especially with the Rain Up as well to stop Chi-Yu and Koraidon from even doing neutral damage into that Terra Fairy, that really hurt it.
Yeah, this team not having a good way to break a Fairy Terra in general, like you don't have any like super effective damage into it really. You just have a lot of just like a couple neutrals. You've got Hydro Steam and Flare Blitz are probably your best ways of breaking through that Terra Fairy CIR. I guess Astral Barrage in a sense too.
Yeah.
But the problem is none of those Pokemon want to take a Glacial Lance. So
no.
Walking Wake has the best shot of living it because you have that Terra Water, and you just naturally are just like a neutral hit instead of a super effective hit. So that probably would have been like a lot of the times like I saw those situations like, man, if Walking Wake's in the back, you switch this in, you probably could take this Glacial Lance if there's two Pokemon on the field. But if you get into a solo situation with Walking Wake, you probably can't Oko the Calyrex Ice Rider, and you probably don't actually take the +1 Glacial Lance.
No. Especially if it was like the solo shot. And we also saw, again, this same idea of a Rain team, but a different 6, or at least different idea with it, with Carrie. So Carrie went with, instead of going with the Leech Seed variant, they went with the Seed Bomb variant and the Never Melt Ice item. Also,
I think this is the one that you end up playing to beat the Leech Seed Calyrex Ice Rider. Like, this is the next evolution. It's like, okay, well, the Leech Seed Ice Rider beats the Clear Amulet one. Well, the Seed Bomb one's how you Seed Bomb Terra Grass is how you beat the Leech Seed one.
Yeah.
But this also just being like having the Rain means you don't have to worry about the fire moves from Koraidon as much. The big scary thing is just like, as we saw in the top 4 match, if you pull your trigger too quick on your Terra, you still can just get got by Glacial Lance on the opposing Calyrex Ice.
Yeah, because there is a lot of ice weakness, especially if you do commit the Terra on the Calyrex Ice.
I think every Mon in some shape or fashion is weak to ice at some point on this team.
Yep. Yeah.
Terragrass Kyogre, Terragrass Urshifu, Terragrass Calyrex Ice, Rillaboom's already weak, Amoonguss is already weak, Hydreigon is already weak.
Yep. And with the way this event, like, this was a really good weekend for Calyrex Ice, so that wasn't great. But on the other end, the Kyogre is a Pokemon that is also good into the Calyrex Ice. Going with the Thunder on the Kyogre as well, like, this Kyogre Calyrex Ice duo, in theory, it feels like it should be better into the mirror. I think the other partners just didn't really work out for that specific mirror. And of course, not to take anything away from Carrie, who came in third place, and also not to take anything away from Gavin, who won the event. But that's just how it looks, and it felt for me. It just always felt like Gavin got into a better spot.
There was a lot more player expression in the matchups where Gavin, where Carrie and Gavin were playing. Then I feel like when we talk about who was fourth, I can't remember.
Close out Aaron Brock. Yeah,
when we get to Aaron's team, we'll talk about that top four match. That one felt very like flowchart methodical compared to how Gavin's and Carrie's match went. There's a lot of like player expression there. There's a lot more like important like decision points, whereas Aaron and Jay's match was very much okay, this is how this is going to work. I think their turns 1, 2, 3 were literally the same every single match.
Yeah. That was a match where I was like, I missed, like, I think game 2 I missed, and I only watched a few matches of game 1 because I was like working around it. And we can talk about this. This is the first of the Calyrex Shadow Zamazenta teams that did pretty well this week. It's another weekend where this team just feels like it's getting better and better. People are starting to figure it out. Hey, the former world champion played Chen Pao with CSR Zama. Maybe we should do this. And
I've only been saying this for
both
felt
of us.
Like weeks at this point.
Yeah, both of us. I'm like, this is the version to use.
This is what you should be doing. Like, this is your good 3. Like,
yeah,
and then you added Raging Bolt, so now you have the Bolt Beam coverage.
Yep.
And you improve your CIR Miraidon matchup even more. Like, so this is how you build onto this team and how you make it actually better instead of playing these silly balance pivot games.
So one of the things that has been popped up on social media, came up on the stream this week, is you can tell if the CSR Zama player was a Reg G Zama player or a Reg G Calyrex player by looking at the rest of the Pokemon on their team. The Europeans were all Calyrex players. They all have the
they played a lot more of the balance, the fake out, the nasty plot.
Yeah.
It feels very Terapagos-esque too. It's just like, I'm going to have my Calyrex out and a fake out mon. I'm going to fake out and set up, and then I'm going to protect and pivot and bring in my other fake out. I'm gonna do it again and just keep doing this back and forth. Yeah, that's kind of how those matchups usually play out. Whereas a lot of the NA players are Zamazenta players, and we want to press the button. We want to get the damage, or in this case, prevent the damage, because we're playing both. We're playing Ting Lu.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. It's like this team definitely has a really great defensive backbone. You're going with the Sash on Calyrex. Raging Bolt is just one of the best statted Pokemon ever created. And the overall defensive background with Tingles, Amoonguss, and Zamazenta, just a lot of really bulky Pokemon, a lot of either damage reduction, can boost its own defense, can heal itself, and its partners. There is a lot of defense. It's not balanced in the sense of the Beach Bros just like pivoting on each other. It is this like, there's burst damage here, but it's also, okay, I have these really powerful Pokemon that are just generically good into everything, and I can get them in really great defensively. And again, like those old Zamazenta teams that we were seeing at the beginning of Regulation G Part 2 that had like the Chien-Pao, the Amoonguss, the Bolt, and usually there sometimes also like would be a Fire Pond. There would be some sort of ground type, maybe depending on like where the meta was at. Rillaboom would appear. This one instead went for Ting-Lu, which
I personally love Ting-Lu. I've been trying very hard to find places where Ting-Lu just like fits on teams. And most of them end up just being like solo Dozo Ting-Lu teams, which I really don't really want to play because that's a lot of headache.
yeah.
And a lot of stalling. But I've really been a big Ting-Lu fan in this format just because ground is such a strong type in this format in general. And Pokemon like Ursaluna, Landorus, they've seen a lot of success, so it's nice seeing Ting-Lu finally getting a little bit of love.
Yeah, this is and that's the thing, it's like I love these double ruin teams. We're actually going to talk about all 4 ruins.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all 4 of them. I'm very excited.
and I'm going to let you talk about Wo-Chien when we get to it, because I may accidentally slander it because I can't stop myself.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, but I love Tingles. This Terra Fairy version, just like the ability. Honestly, one of my favorite things is the trapping with Sand Tomb. Trapping just feels really, really good in all formats, and be able to have a trapping move that is also able to, like, again, do some damage, break those sashes and everything. That's really great. The Stone Edge is I am not a brave enough man to click that button.
Rock coverage is so important right now, just because rock hits. Everybody's either Terra, Fire, or Ice type, or somehow you're weak to rock somewhere. And having that extra rock coverage, like having that rock coverage on your Ting-Lu, is so good.
Yeah.
Granted, you could play something like Heavy Slam or
even Rock Slide.
You also get Throat Chop if you want that guaranteed dark coverage that's going to hit all the time. If that's something you're looking for.
Keyword as well, you says all the time. All of these moves can miss.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Is it's like all these moves can miss at some point. You could also just play Fissure.
Yeah.
You could, if you're really just wanting to play it, you could just play Fissure.
And which is crazy because none of the other Pokemon on this team have moves that can miss. Also, just looking at it, another interesting thing with this like Chien-Pao as well is that this is a taunt Chien-Pao. Really fast taunt is super useful. Really fast taunt that can't be blocked, that isn't prankster blocked, is even more useful. And super fast taunt that won't be prankster blocked but can also block your opponent's prankster is absolutely and utterly excellent. And that it's like a really cool thing that this Chien-Pao has as another like tech to stop the Trick Rooms from coming up. A lot of the teams that we've talked about so far, outside of the Calyrex Ice team, don't really like being in Trick Room. Again, this one can kind of play in it. Ting-Lu's pretty slow and can slow the pace of play. Amoonguss, of course, is an Amoonguss, but everything else like on this team, Zamazenta doesn't really like being in Trick Room. Calyrex Shadow definitely doesn't like it. Bolt is mixed, and the Chien-Pao also really doesn't like it. So being able to just stop it from going up is really awesome.
Yeah. You also just have Ting-Lu to kind of play under TR. You technically are slower than Calyrex Ice at min speed. So that was a big thing that came up a lot. I'm sure on their way through. So just having 2 good ways on both of these ruined Pokemon to kind of just like counteract Calyrex Ice's and Trick Room in general is good.
Yeah.
I was doing calcs to see how much Lash Out does into Lunala, and through Shadow Shield it's like a 96% hit. So you go down, it's a big hit after you get like an Intimidate or something on their Ting-Lu. So that's just another move. I was just trying to think of other moves that you could play.
Yep. Now see, Montana here famously won one of the West Coast regional last year with Calyrex Shadow, but still you could say is leaning more towards the Zamazenta.
They did the same kind of adaptation where it's like the Chien-Pao comes in, the Amoonguss is here. They just wanted the extra fake out and pressure with Rillaboom.
And the original Elizabeth version of the like that Zamazenta Red G team was with the Genpao, Double Grass, Rilla, and Amoonguss. And it definitely is inspired there. Having terrain control in general is really good. Overall, Miraidon didn't have this is the worst weekend Miraidon's had so far.
But this also was the biggest target on Miraidon's back since
so,
the format started, so it makes sense.
The other changes compared outside of like changing like the AV Pokemon from Tinglu to Rillaboom is we do see the double dark coverage on the Genpao going with
you just
Sucker
need
and
that
Crunch.
Extra.
Yep.
You need that extra coverage because you don't want to be stuck with Sucker Punch as your only dark move into like a Brute Bonded CSR or an Indeedee CSR or something like that.
And the other change is the damaging Sludge Bomb over the Pollen Puff on the Amoonguss, which you can get away with because you do have the Grassy Surge.
Terrain. Yeah, you have the Grass Terrain, so Sludge Bomb here is fine. This is a big deal into like Grimmsnarl.
Yeah. Which can we safely?
This is like I think it's like a 3-shot through Light Screen.
I think so, and Grimm really can't do anything into you. I think at this point we can kind of safely say Grimmsnarl is the best non-restricted at this point. It's won a majority of the events. I believe all but 1 or 2 have been won by Grimm.
That sounds right.
Because Melbourne wasn't won by Grimm.
No, it didn't have Grimm. It had the Wheezing.
Yeah, and I think there might have been one more. But yeah, like Grimm's won all but 1 or 2 regionals so far.
It's been very, very strong. Hey, who knew Screens is good?
Yeah, Screens is great. It's like it was a major part in the definitive team of the last GS Cup format we had. Who would have guessed that it's still good?
It just took the entirety of Sword and Shield's life cycle to finally be good again.
Scarlet and Violet. Wow, I'm glad that I'm not the one to do it this week.
It took the entirety of Sword and Shield to be good too.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. There were teams it was good on, but it wasn't like
it wasn't dominant until we got to GS Cup and Sword and Shield.
Yeah,
and so it's just how this thing works. It's a niche Pokemon that will be probably around for a very long time. I expect Grimmsnarl to just have pretty strong staying power into these games, just because for some reason it's got like a cult following. I don't understand why people are like a fan of this Jabberwocky hair monster. But
it's because Marnie has it, and Marnie has the waifu boost. That's my thought.
Sense.
Like they made
I thought Morpeko was Marnie's signature mon, not Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, but Grimm is like her ace mon. So like Morpeko's the mascot and Grimm is the ace. Like that was the big thing when they just did, because Marnie got cards in one of the more recent I think actually
one of the trainer.
Yeah. And like the big thing is like the Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX is going to be like that's like the signature card that's going to be around the strategy for her deck. So like that's probably where it comes in. You have like a bit of that like goth girl waifu tax, like just boosting it.
Yeah, that's 100% what it is. It's got to be the waifu.
Yeah, tax. So that's where the cult following for, or you're just Joe Ugarte and you have to put screens on your team almost all the time. Yeah, one of the two.
I will say Joe did not have a good weekend. Neither did Alex Underhill.
I actually didn't even know Joe was there.
Yeah,
it feels like
Joe was playing. I think Joe is just playing to just make sure he has the number 1 spot locked up for CP.
Yeah,
because I think if Carson came up and somehow spiked, I think if Carson ended up showing up and then spiked this event, Joe could fall to second. So he's gonna just go to every event and just play, especially because he can.
Yeah, it's not like it's his pretty much his job. It's not like he's doing anything else.
Right. Yeah. Moving on. We got Dozo.
Yeah, Justin Wan's Dozo team. This is a 2-2-2-ish team.
Yeah, it's you kind of can get away with solo Dozo occasionally on this team, having like the body press be your one of your big damaging moves, kind of acting sort of Zamazenta-ish, not quite. We also have the droopy form Tatsugiri just to get those defense boosts when we do have the commander bonus going on for order up. But the downside is this Weezing has to lean harder on like poison gas and toxic spikes and all these like status moves. So not having access to that taunt was pretty big.
Yeah, and there's a lot of times, especially if you're playing the Dozo mode, where you're playing a single restricted mode as well. And a well-played Dozo might as well be a second restricted. But at this point as well, like, people also have more power to go into said Dozo. I'll just say it personally, I don't like this style of team. I don't like the way it plays. I don't like playing against it. I think it's actually a pretty bad watch. As a spectator, like watching like these sorts of teams being played, just generally not a fan of them. It is interesting though to see like where the like Dozo, Weezing, Calyrex Shadow teams are like have been going. We know that they existed ever since even a little before the Justin Knox Worlds run, they were popping up, and to see the other restricteds that they compare themselves with, going with Koraidon and Brute Bonnet for a little Sun package that also adds redirection and status control with Spore. I feel like that's a pretty interesting path for the team to take in the grand scheme of things, not especially since you have the ability shield on the Koraidon. In most cases, everything is going to have on your side will have its ability. I think the only way something won't have an ability is if if you get out of position and you or like go solo Dozo or solo Tatsu next to the Weezing.
If you're in like last two Mon mode,
Yeah.
and the last two are Weezing plus non-ability shield Koraidon or Calyrex Shadow.
And then of course like the Brute Bonnet, Bonnet.
Here's the big things for this team. It's just like Brute Bonnet only has an ability if the sun's out. So it's whatever. If the sun's not out, Weezing next to it's not gonna be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Calyrex Shadow Rider ignores it as one being too powerful, blah blah blah. Ability shield Koraidon, cool. You get to ignore it. Commander Tatsugiri only has that's only an ability if Dondozo is on the field.
Yep.
So that's another partner that doesn't really care about having its ability or not. So that's why this is the natural progression for like Dondozo. It's just like to play this next to the Weezing Brute Bonnet, like Calyrex Shadow, like the Weezing Brute Bonnet Koraidon Calyrex Shadow Rider like core is a fairly decent like core to play around with, and then having the Dondozo Tatsugiri means it's like they have to. It's a mind game in team select, right? It's just like they have to respect the Dondozo being able to come in and just click body press and order up and substitute and just blow up whatever's in front of it. So I see why this is like the natural progression. I personally love seeing like these other styles of teams where it's more of a battle in team select rather than a battle on the field.
Yeah, and I think I
like that mental battle.
I think that's the thing with me. It's like I just find it annoying to go against. Again, my personal thing. If you do play this team, you're probably a decent person, mostly. I'm not going to like say like you're bad for choosing or enjoying to play this team. I will say this personally. You will not find me use something like that, and I don't like going against it because it's just like I don't know, it just feels boring or yeah, again, like very team selecty to go against. I like that more back and forth within the battle and not just like, oh, am I going to like I have to call what pairs in the front and what pairs in the back sort of thing.
It's very much it sets up two battles, one in team select and one on the field effectively. Yeah. You can this helps you guarantee like I can win in team select if they don't do this, and if they do the other things, like okay, I'm still fine. I got this in the back, I'll be fine. I've got Dozo in the back. They led this really weak into Dozo lead. I can just double pivot. Dozo cleans up, and then I can come back and bring CSR plus Koraidon in the back, and after off the lead, and I can clean up that way. Like
Yeah.
that's a lot of what this team is trying to do. It's like, I'm going to try and win in team select. If I don't win in team select, I still have 2 restricted Pokemon like that are very, very strong together.
Yeah.
Giovanni,
I'm going to butcher that last name.
Cishek?
Yeah, I'm not.
I don't think they ever even said it on stream, so I didn't hear anybody say it.
Giovanni's team. This is something that we've kind of like generally seen. I'd say this is the more common variant of the non-wheezing like Koraidon plus ghost type restricted.
This is what happens when you play Lunala. Is it's like you just want to play the Trick Room mons.
Yep. So you have like a really strong Trick Room mode with Ursaluna and the Brute Bonnet, which is just an absolute staple on these Sun teams. And then you have your click button go fast girly pop mode with Chi-Yu Flutter, the people's lead. Not really.
This is very much I have 2 modes. I have Flutterfish mode and I have Luna TR mode. Mm-hmm. And then I've got Koraidon and Brute Bonnet to support both.
Yeah. And I will say this, I do like how much offense that the Chi-Yu Flutter is able to put out, especially this is the Stellar Terra Flutter. I always find that really, really cool. And it also complements, given the special damage along with Lunala, to complement all of the really strong physical attackers in Bonnet, Ursaluna, and Koraidon. Again, this isn't a team that we really have a lot to say about because we've seen this before, and I think it's just a staple, or at least a cookie-cutter variant of this Lunala Koraidon that a lot of the other parts, like maybe there's like you can throw in, instead of going with Chi-Yu or instead of going with Flutter, you throw in a Raging Bolt or something, or the Walking Wake. But with these 2 restricted Pokemon, there's another, call it like 5 or 6 mons you can pick 4 of and plop them in, depending on what you're trying to go for. And it'll just work because the 2 restricted themselves go and complement each other so well.
Yeah. That pretty much just sums up all of this. Just he's got real good offensive modes with Lunala and Ursaluna, or Chi-Yu and Flutter, and then you just got Koraidon plus Bonnet to do real good support things.
Yep. 8th place
Turtle.
First of all, this is a monumentous occasion. Lenduel going to an event and not playing the 252 HP, 252 special defense, bulked out, thick T-Tar. There is a rock type on the team in the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, but just seeing Len not use his signature Pokemon is a little weird, but restricted formats. Outside of that, this team's kind of like, I do like the double Will-O-Wisp, fast Will-O-Wisp with the Calyrex Shadow Rider, and the slower or more normally expected Will-O-Wisp with the Incineroar. The fast Wisp is really, really great into the banded Urshifus that we saw a lot of teams over the past few weekends tech in specifically for this matchup, because you need to be banded Urshifu to pick up the 1-hit KO on the Terrapagos.
I will say there's a lot of like status competition between the Amoonguss and the Calyrex and the Incineroar. So it's always a pick and choose your battle. Like if you get the burn, you can't spore later. That actually came up in Len's top 16 match going into top 8. That actually came up because they had burned the Miraidon and they couldn't spore it later.
Yep.
And that was actually really, really important. So I will say I kind of wish this Will-O-Wisp on Incineroar was like helping hand. That's just me.
Yeah, I think though, like for this team, definitely like Len wanting to make sure that these physical attackers that are teching themselves specifically for this matchup were having problems. But yeah, the helping hand on Incin is always a super cool tech that I'm a fan of.
Like I just like it with next to Calyrex and Terrapagos both, just being able to go clap clap. I'm going to increase my damage. That's on this big spread move. That's really, really good. Also, one of the other weird innovations that got picked up was dropping the grass move on Ogerpon for knockoff.
Yeah, and this one didn't. However,
this one swapped back to Power Whip, which this is an adaptation back to being able to beat the Calyrex Ice Leech Seed sets.
Yep.
You dropped Power Whip because they were almost always like Terra Fire or something weird because they didn't want to get burned. So Power Whip wasn't doing a whole lot. So you only really needed Ivy Cudgel, and then you wanted to play knockoff, so you had knockoff as on your mon to just like make sure you're getting an item knocked off or whatever. Now the Terra Water, you swap back to Power Whip so you can hit them super effective some way, and then they're gonna start playing Terra Fairy, and now you just don't hit them super effective at
all. Yep. Happens.
Yeah, other than that, this is just pretty much Terrapagos CSR. Like this is a lot of the same stuff we've seen before. Calyrex not being the Encore Disable bot feels much better.
Yeah, this Calyrex is being a Calyrex, and it's not being a Screamtail on a horse.
It's a Calyrex with Pollen Puff and Willow, and like it actually is like being like a ghost type and a heal bot for your Terrapagos, which is really neat. Like I'm not a big fan of like having the double Will-O-Wisp. I'm a very big fan of having the double Pollen Puff because it lets you play in both speed modes.
Yeah,
that was a big thing when I was in Milwaukee. It's like, oh, you have Pollen Puff on your Calyrex to heal your Terrapagos. Well, I just set up Trick Room. Now you're not healing your Terrapagos at all because I'm going to take out the Calyrex before it can do that. And so having the Amoonguss being able to actual heal under Trick Room as well is really good.
Yeah. I know. So I think one of the things we should do as well, like just immediately, usually we'll like hop around once we get through our top 8. I do want to talk immediately for 9th place. First of all, a Pokemon you really haven't heard us talk about today is Miraidon. And that's because this is only the first Miraidon that we're talking about. Miraidon did not top 8 this weekend. A massive target has been put in its back. And we didn't see the first, like, we'll go through the first Miraidon Lunala team isn't until 14th, and the first Miraidon plus Calyrex Ice team isn't until 18th. So, like, while they did cut, they just didn't have the super dominant fashion that we've been used to. But this Miraidon...
this CIR Miraidon had almost 20% usage in day 1.
Yeah.
Which, again, it's this Miraidon CIR had the big target on its back. It just won 2 events, and so it makes a lot of sense why Miraidon stocks have dropped. Partly because everyone was expecting everyone to figure out how to play against it, and the people who did bring CIR Miraidon ran into a lot of the same issues of people who had already planned for it. When a lot of the teams, the Miraidon teams, had adapted to being the Utrecht, Lando, Urshifu plus Incineroar like trio next to the Grim Calyrex Ice Miraidon stuff. So, which that team got pasted everywhere. So again, it's a mostly known quantity.
And not only is it a known quantity, it's a known quantity that you're able to say, hey, I'm playing, like, hey, you'll send it to your buddy. It's like, hey, can you like play against me with this exact team, and I can figure it out. And that was really just it. Like, if I have to compare weekends, like the CIR Miraidon or Lunala Miraidon, like that sort of weekend it had in Portland is similar to what happened to the early format Zamazenta and Calyrex Shadow, where it's like everyone knew it was a known commodity and everyone practiced against it. Same thing happened this week. The Miraidon here is the Terra Electric Assault Vest with Snarl, Electro Drift, Draco, and Volt Switch. One of the first things with this being a Groudon team that I noted when I first looked at it, it's like very, very Rinya Sun coded. You have the Groudon Incin, Grim, especially it being Shuka Incin. We don't see a lot of Resist Berry Incins like we did in the past, but you have the Shuka Incin right there instead of the Charizard.
I will say this right now. Berry Incin at all feels very, very rough in this format.
Yeah.
We saw Choppleberry last week.
Chopple's been big in Japan.
Which that one makes a lot more sense because there's a lot more fighting coverage running around. But Shuka being your choice plus Terra Grass is that this feels very just slapped on because I didn't know what else item to play.
Yeah, exactly. It's Rinya coded. You have that. You have the Grim. Instead of it being a Charizard, it's a Miraidon that is your big like dragon-esque. This one's actually a dragon, like big special attacker.
The real dragon.
Yeah, the real dragon. And then Flutter and Volcarona are there.
Well, so what's funny about this is it while you say it's Rinya coded, it also feels very reminiscent of like the original Miraidon CIR versions of I'm going to play my Miraidon plus my Clear Amulet physical attacker. So how are you going to beat these guys? Because the mons that you're good into Groudon are bad into Miraidon, and vice versa. And so it's just a lot of the same kind of style of I have my redirector with Volcarona, I have screens, I've got Incineroar, and then you get to play Fluttermane as like your other speed control mon because you just happen to have Sun.
Yeah.
Which Sash Fluttermane on next to Miraidon is just always scary.
Yeah, no, it's like the Sash Flutter next to the Miraidon. This one being the Assault Vest variant, it's not going to be as speedy as the others that we've seen. But, you can always, that's why you have the Icy Wind. The Flutter...
you have the Icy Wind and the Thunder Wave, so Miraidon's going to effectively have that opportunity to move first, somehow, between the fake-out Icy Wind and Thunder Wave. And the Tailwind. The Volcarona also has Tailwind. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Will this be good going forward? Maybe. Depending on how the format goes. Heat Crash Groudon isn't great into Calyrex Ice, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, you aren't picking up the Calyrex. You aren't.
I think you need 2 bulk ups to get close in the sun.
Yeah, and then of course, and then just regardless of the format, clicking P-Blades always just feels bad.
Oh, it always feels like pulling teeth because it's just
you're going to miss the Pokemon that you need it to hit. Even it just doesn't feel great. And it's not like we have a dearth of ground types. We've seen success from Ursaluna and from Landorus Incarnate. Both of these Pokemon did win regionals, but I can also see it in a sense of if you don't want to run those 2 Pokemon, there really aren't any other ground type options. So Groudon could have that niche of just being the ground type option that isn't a bear or a genie. Because
here's a calc for you today. +2 156 adamant Groudon at +2 does not even get close to OHKOing 0 HP 0 defense Calyrex Ice and Sun.
What does it do, 70%?
It's 64 to 76.
Okay, so it's right in the
most of the Calyrex Ice are almost near max HP, so it's a guaranteed 2-hit KO, but you gotta hope that they aren't Terra Fairy or Terra Water, because if that happens, it's a 7-hit KO.
At that point, you're just going and praying for P-Blades.
You're just praying for P-Blades, which it's a much better role for P-Blades.
Yeah.
Regardless, P-Blades is 60 to 71 into the big bulky HP Calyrex Ice, whereas Heat Crash is 54 to 65.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. That's just Heat Crash probably isn't the move you should be playing. Yes, it'll help you pick up a Mungus, but you also have Incineroar and Volcarona for your big fire type damage. You could probably play Rock Slide and not have to play the Heat Crash here. I just don't. I'm not a Heat Crash fan on Groudon anymore. It's just not that great anymore.
Yeah,
there's too many big Pokemon. It's the same issue with Heavy Slam. There's too many big Pokemon.
Just scrolling through anything else that's a little interesting. Keon Campbell's 15th place Swordfish team was something that caught my
eye. We saw this last week. It's just swapping Roaring Moon instead of Tornadoes.
Yeah, and I really like the Roaring Moon. It's just a more active Pokemon. It doesn't get stopped by the Wide Guard spam. Having being a dark type is really, really great. And as always, I just really, really like the duo of Hansamungus. I just think those two Pokemon are awesome together. And then usually like having a dark type as well. Like in past formats, I've liked those two plus Chien-Pao. But for this team, having it with like Roaring Moon is also really, really cool. The Swords Dance on Zacian at least like makes it so that if you do switch it out, you still have a way to boost up and be active. And the rest of the sets are just relatively similar. But overall, this is just a really good iteration of the Swordfish team that, again, is pretty popular. We saw it both a similar version as well. Christopher Hahn in 17th place went for the past Paradox AV holding electric Pokemon in Raging Bolt, like instead of the future Paradox Iron Hands.
It kind of feels like a similar thing, yeah. Right?
Yep.
You trade Fake Out for Thunderclap and like low kick damage for Snarl. So it's like it's a trade-off. Raging Bolt does different things than Iron Hands, but they still kind of fill that electric type with Assault Vest kind of style.
Yeah.
I wanted to look at the one in between them.
I was just about to say that was the next one. Steven Stewart is in 2012 because he's bringing Double Genie.
So it's super, like, I saw this, I listened to the team I saw in day 2, I was like, this is super interesting, I wonder how far this goes, because we have the Thunderous Incarnate with Prankster, Rain Dance, Thunderwave, Air Impulse, Wild Bolt Storm, kind of acting pseudo like a Grimmsnarl.
It's like a Grim plus a Torn is the best way it's running.
Like, you have Eerie Impulse for damage reduction, you have Rain Dance for weather control, and you have Thunderwave for speed control. The big thing is this 6 feels is another one that feels very, very weak to the like Glacial Lance Leech Seed Ice Rider, because it's like you have the Landorus, Thundurus, Rillaboom, and Calyrex that do not want to take a Glacial Lance whatsoever. And so you have the Chien-Pao Zama to kind of help mitigate that a little bit. But I'm really interested in this like Terra Ghost, Terra Blast, like Landorus.
Yeah, that, and I think that has to be because you're not going to share Force Boost.
Yeah, you're not getting the sheer Force Boost, so this just has to be like hope that they're not Focus Sash on their Calyrex Shadow and just bang bang.
Yeah, or like just
we're playing like we're playing enough speed where we outspeed opposing timid Shadow Rider, and then we're probably just hoping that it's enough damage.
And I will say, for teams that don't have the ability to like spam wide guard or don't have like great switches, Thundy Lando going T1 Rain Dance into Sandsteer and then starting turn 2 just spamming Wild Bolt Sandsteer. You're going and threatening paralysis. Well, you're doing double spread moves.
I'm trying to think if there's anything that resists both Sandseer and Wild Bolt in the format right now, and it's just like the grass types, right?
Yeah, and if you have a grass type in front of you, you're going to, they can just click Sludge Bomb instead of the Sandseer. Yeah, and I think one of the other things that's really cool, as you said, like at least a tech into to help against the Leech Seed Calyrex Ice is, again, we see this Taunt Chien-Pao. This is another team that does not want to be in Trick Room, so having a very fast Tauntmon that can't be Prankster taunted is really useful. And yeah, you can go and you can click Taunt into the Calyrex, and you can now sit there and just click Wide Guard plus Ice Spinner or Wide Guard plus Sucker, and just whittle everything down. Even if you aren't targeting into the Calyrex itself, at some point it's going to run out of Glacial Lances, so you can even like just force the switch in that sense. I think it's just a really neat tech for this team that doesn't want to be in Trick Room, and so like it does a lot of different things. Fast Taunt's really good in this format, and I think that you'd see more of it if Grim didn't have 4 move slot syndrome. But yeah.
Yeah. Another big thing to note about this Chien-Pao, I will say you are kind of limiting yourself to what you can hit with just Ice Spin or Sucker Punch. I know not having that big, strong, like non-priority dark move can end up costing you games later on. So that's probably also why we see Terra Ghost Terra Blast on this Landorus.
Yeah. We can go down to 25th. I know that's a team that a lot of people are going to want to talk about.
Yeah, we got to talk about Lo-Chien.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. So this
lead.
is it's triple dark. Triple dark plus Calyrex, Shadow Rider, Kyogre, Clefairy. We saw this a lot in other formats. It's a common thing.
It was it really spiked, specifically the triple dark, like Incineroar, Chien, Grimmsnarl plus AV Kyogre had an unbelievable, like, it was one of the story teams of NAIC last year, and then it completely fell off at Worlds. Famously the Moxie boosted, like, Wochien, like broken Wochien chain picture from Post Worlds, yeah. But like it's back, and the idea is that, especially with the Clefairy and the AV, like the Clefairy, the screens, the Intimidate, the AV Kyogre, the Wochien's Tablet of Ruin, and the Pollen Puff, even the Giga Drain on the Calyrex, the team is insanely bulky, has a ton of survivability, and it still is able to do a ton of damage. Like, in any format, Fake Out / Follow Me plus Nasty Plot is really good, because the Calyrex, once it gets a plot or two up, kind of like resists,
it's good
don't
until
matter.
You're into opposing Shadow Rider. That's about it. That's like the one big weakness, and I feel like you're going to end up in really tight situations where it's spread move plus whatever on the other side. If they have the faster fake out, or they just don't care about your follow me, this team's going to struggle a lot. That's part of the issue with like their Grimmsnarl and Incineroar core. A lot of the time it's just like, yeah, you get your screens and you get your Intimidate or whatever, but you're not actually putting out a ton of pressure on certain mons. And so while you're doing that, yep, I get to do my setup thing. Oh, now you got your Shadow Rider in behind a screen, but I'm also +1 or +2 now, and I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
The Clefairy is the smart tech, because this allows you to go first under Trick Room, which this team really has a problem with Trick Room.
Yeah, a lot of teams have issues with a lot. The teams that don't have Trick Room on it usually have issue in Trick Room.
Not all of them, but
not all. But
this one in particular has a real big issue with the Leech Seed. This team is built to beat the Leech Seed Calyrex Ice.
Yeah.
Trying to just like have access to ways to mitigate the damage or outlast it, or be able to hit it before it can hit you in certain situations. We see like Terra Grass Calyrex Shadow Rider, which, yes, you don't want a Terra in front of the Calyrex Ice, but if you get into a situation where it's like Clefairy after you into Giga Drain KO the Calyrex Ice, you probably will end up Terraing just to make sure you get the KO there, right? Like, that's the kind of situation you want to be in. The Wo-Chien is really cool. I love the anything, like, it fills that kind of same void of what the Calyrex Ice is sort of doing, having the Leech Seed and Ruination leftovers, ends up helping Calyrex pick up KOs that probably normally wouldn't. Same thing with Kyogre. You're also very damage light.
Yeah, that is the issue with this team.
That's why Wo-Chien is so important on this team, having that Ruination.
Yeah. It helps, especially if you can't get the Nasty Plot up on the Calyrex. Since it's a Covert Cloak Calyrex, this is the first time I actually read that right. Usually when Covert Cloak is on the team sheet, especially when it's my own Calyrex, I just forget it exists. But like seeing that, where if you aren't getting, like, this is going to be a bulky Calyrex, there probably isn't a lot of offense invested. You need the Nasty Plot boost. If you aren't getting the Nasty Plot boosts or the Helping Hand boost, you need to pick up the Grim Nay boosts. Ruination helps you with that, where you can go and turn that 2-hit KO into a 1-hit KO if you know you're going to hit that 50% button. And again, like, the Calyrex, once it gets rolling, awesome, great, kicks ass. But getting it going is a little difficult to do when you don't have other pressures that are like around it. And
that's ultimately the game you're trying to play here, is trying to apply enough pressure to keep them from just doubling your Calyrex Shadow Rider and taking it out, and making sure your Calyrex Shadow Rider is in a safe enough position to where you actually can get a nasty plot off, or get a Ruination plus Astral Barrage to pick up a KO there and get the ball rolling. Let's see here. What else is there?
There were a couple others for me. Just going through in general, the next one I personally would want to talk about. Aaron Trailer's Hard Trick Room team in 35th place. Actually, 35th and 36th.
Yeah, I'm about to say 36th is the one I was looking for, the Mochian I was looking for, because that's the one that was the Parabolic Charge Miraidon, which is super duper cool. Aaron Trailer also just brought Hard Trick Room.
Which, I mean, Hard Trick Room isn't something we've seen a lot in this format. So just seeing a player to do insanely well with it is always cool. Aaron being one of my locals as well, it's always awesome. The double choice items, the Smeargle, the Power Herb, no Protect on the Lunala. Like there's a lot of different things I like on this team. I just don't like them all together. I'm not a good Hard Trick Room player. I'm a really bad Hard Trick Room player. I'm a really bad Torkoal player in general. So I always find it cool when I see this team like just go out and do well. I feel like the restricted variants of the Hard Trick Room just feel more interesting, or at least have a lot more. It's a lot more layers of strategy than the Hard Trick Room teams that you'll see in like a non-restricted format. Mm-hmm. Like, this isn't just like Hatterene, like size spam. You can see the worlds where you could do like you don't have like, you could see the worlds where, yeah, I want to be in Trick Room, but I don't fully need to be in Trick Room to do well.
Yeah.
Because of how powerful Lunala, Calyrex Ice, and the Urshifu are when given double redirection, or even what the Torkoal can do with double redirection next to it.
Yeah.
I think so. Like, that's why I just think it's a more interesting play style in this format compared to other formats. But you aren't going to get the style credits like playing Zacian Triple Dark, Parabolic Charge Combine Miraidon, and the Scarf Annihilate.
I love this team. I love the idea of just like, I am Parabolic Charge Miraidon. I am going to set my screens, and instead of like the Leech Seed Calyrex Ice, we're just playing Parabolic Charge Combine Miraidon just to like spread damage, like electric damage, and if you don't have a ground type, you're just screwed.
And as we've talked about, unless you're playing a bear or a genie, in most cases you don't have that ground type.
You just don't have the ground type, which that's really good for Miraidon. And we have a ton of ways to mitigate physical damage with Incineroar and Mochian and Grimmsnarl. We have Annihilate just to take care of problematic Pokemon. We also have like Scarf Coaching, and Zacian is just like a really, really strong combo. And then we also are Terra Ground, so we can always just like lock into Shadow Claw or close combat and click Parabolic Charge next to it without taking out our Annihilate.
Yeah, and the Terra Ground on the Zacian, that's something that we've been seeing already especially if you're going with Terra Blast. Yep. And so it does pair well with the idea of the Parabolic Charge on the Miraidon. And again, the Annihilate can make you play 3v3. A lot of Pokemon do need investment in their HP to get over the final gambit, and that just being a delete button into like other people's restricted Pokemon is really awesome. There's actually a calc that I don't know. Let's see. Annihilate hits 217, and
pretty much if you go and look at like HP values, if you are less than 110 base HP, you are dead.
So that's what I was looking at. I was like, what's Calyrex Ice's base HP, and it's base 100. So yeah, just being able to these super bulky Calyrex is being like, nope.
I'm trying to think of what mons are currently like relevant in the meta. It's Tinglu, Iron Hands, Eternatus, technically Ursaluna, which you can always just tear a ghost away from the final game, but it's fine. Amoonguss, Raging Bolt, Farigiraf notably lives it.
Brute Bonnet. Well, so it depends. The Brute Bonnet, it depends. It's because it's base 111, and it's like most people.
This is assuming you go to max HP.
So that's what I was going to say. Most people right now, or at least the set that is mainly in the Nerd of Now calculator, is the 244 HP, 252 defense.
The people who 12 take one out, yeah.
So like if you do the 252 Timmy, you're safe. If you try to be cute with your Brute Bonnet and do I'm going to pull the HP,
do the min max thing,
you get got by Final Gambit. Just know that.
Yeah, just be aware that you are setting yourself up for disaster. One of the big things about the differences on this Wo-Chien compared to the previous Wo-Chien is we swapped Ruination for Foul Play. It's not a big needle mover like Ruination is, but the idea is we want our opponents to actually have as much HP as possible, because Parabolic Charge heals based on the damage it deals.
Yeah.
And so if say we're going to do 75% to whatever and we reduce it in half, reduce 100% to half, we're actually reducing the amount of damage we're healing. Like we are actually taking HP out of our Miraidon's like pool of available HP to gain. So definitely understand the Foul Play versus Ruination like swap there. So if you want to play Ruination on your Wo-Chien, that's fine. Just recognize that you're going to be stealing food out of your Miraidon's mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, in general, like, cool idea.
Very synergistic, and wasn't something that a lot of people probably had like expected. And that's why they made Day 2 probably.
And that's also not
unexpected.
That's also not the only time we saw Miraidonization in Day 2. In 44th place, John Lyons, a local of mine, went with a little more standard variant of the Miraidonization.
This feels very Arubega-esque.
It is very Arubega-esque. The Zacian, however, compared to like the Calyrex Ice, it does give it again, like your fast mode just feels even stronger, and you're just really leaning in on Iron Hands and Farig to handle your slow mode if you ever go into said slow mode. Really for this, it's like your slow mode is your Trick Room is more so there to turn off
Trick Room's there to turn off others and then just beat faster teams.
Yep.
Because there are teams that are going to be faster than you with the way your team is built. Like this is not the fastest combination you can be. Calyrex Shadows, like Tailwind Calyrex Shadow, is always going to be a problem. So that's when you set your Trick Room. It's just like, I'm going to go for the Trick Room instead of going for the Tailwind here, and I'm going to underspeed you and take you out that way.
Not to also just to bring it up again. I mean, I brought up one local. I can't bring up the other 40th place Anthony Lonergan, Tony T, and the T is for 20 points gained this weekend. Again, this so yeah, it's bubbling top 32, not great. Like the worlds, like the race to worlds for anyone who hasn't just auto qualified, it's like really rough. Anthony's had an insane season this year. We've talked about him a lot. He's top cut of I think he has 2 top cuts. He's made multiple top 32s, tons of Day 2s, and he's had like a ton of really far runs. But because he just didn't play well, like his GC BFLs aren't impressive, and literally like that's the difference between him being super safe and him where he is right now, where it's like, if he sadly, I'm not even going to say what I'm about to say because I do not want to put it into existence. But it does kind of like his season is kind of showing how Sadly, how important these best of one closed team sheet tournaments are as well, because like even if he did half as decent at like the GCs, he'd be a player who's killed it at the live events he's gone to that have actually mattered. It's these GCs.
Yeah.
This team's really cool. Again, it plays more like a classic rain team. The double grass. They again went with the grass type Calyrex, Terra Grass
Again,
Calyrex
it's
Ice.
a team that does not want to see Calyrex Ice at all, but you have like some plays into the Leech Seed variant with like the Seed Bomb, hoping they're Terra Water.
So I believe
you also
he was
have game into the Wide Guard because you're Hurricane instead of Bleak Windstorm. That's a big important thing.
Yeah, I know Chase Mateo, who is also again like helped build this team. Chase is one of the best Kyogre players in Gen 9, and that's like a tech that he's really big on because of the fact that you can, again, like this team doesn't like seeing wide guard. Just having a powerful Pokemon with an automatic hit move in the rain to get around it is really, really useful.
The big thing is you're just not straight dead on your Kyogre Tornadus lead into Zamazenta plus X. And you can actually like hit the Zamazenta through the wide guard effectively now, because usually Kyogre's other move is either like Ice Beam or it's like the unreliable Hydro Pump. So having that Hurricane that's going to at least hit for neutral into Zamazenta is really, really good.
Yep. Moving on from there, and I think this is probably going to be our last team. Audie brought a fucking Rhydon, and
we already knew, like we already know about Rhydon.
We have to at least bring this. This was the only Rhydon to day 2, and the more I see it, this one is actually leaning into the offense. It's Sword Stance, which makes sense because you have the Amoonguss.
I read Audie's tweet. Audie beat every Miraidon they ran into, and then all of their losses were to Calyrex Shadow Rider speed ties.
Yep. What was it? Let me see. Because
they beat 7 Miraidons, lost to 3 Calyrex Shadow Rider. That was literally what it was.
Yeah. Let me actually, because we actually got the Yeah, no, so yeah, the 3 losses were to Joseph Kwan, who we talked about, the Calyrex Shadow, Kyogre, Triple Dark. Lost to Zhe Zhang, and then lost the win in to Jonathan Zuniga, Jonzu, who finished top 16 with Calyrex with Calyrex Shadow, Zama, balance.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much. And then also no, they did beat a Kyogre. That was their last. They beat Casey Boardman, who ran not Swordfish, Shieldfish. Was pretty much the Swordfish team, but
yeah, with Shieldfish, which
with
I
the
feel like that
Zamazenta.
one. It's always awkward seeing the Shieldfish teams. I'm just like, this one's right here. It's just like, this is always just weird to see.
Actually, that was the player that Audie beat, Casey Boardman.
It's always weird seeing these Shieldfish teams, I guess is what we're gonna call them, because it just feels like you are way weaker than with Zamazenta. Like, the reason you play Zamazenta with your Kyogre is because you want to be able to beat Miraidon. Zamazenta is not how you beat Miraidon.
No, the way I always viewed it is the people who play Zamazenta instead of Zacian with their Kyogre are the people who have missed one too many play rough, or if they do miss that next play rough, they're probably going postal, and they're just saving everyone from themselves. I know like a few other players brought the Zamazenta Kyogre. Like I saw that Jody Azzarelli also brought it. Just scrolling when I was just doing my scroll through, there were a handful of other people who went with that path. It's interesting. I haven't really thought of bringing it, or at least like thought of that like duo. But when you see it, it makes sense.
Let's see here. There's one. I remember seeing something, and I was very excited. Where is it? It's way down here.
I know in 62nd there's a Dawn Wings.
Yeah,
it's just Hard Trick Room. Are you talking about the Solgaleo?
No, I already. Everybody knows about that one.
Yeah, they went 5. That was a 5-3 finish. That really. What is it? What'd you find?
I found him. I found my favorite Pokemon. So
It's like Carter's here, even though he's not.
So what's funny about this is Regigigas actually is just full support here.
Yep.
Thunderwave Wideguard knockoff is just full support, and then we just have ground coverage because we can. But if you're playing Weezing next to your Koraidon, why not just play the Regigigas? And sometimes you just get to play Wideguard Thunderwave. You don't take Astral Barrage, so you're actually a really good Calyrex Shadow counter. They can intimidate you all you want because you don't care, because if you don't have the ability, it's turned off anyway. You don't care about your attack, so you can just click whatever into Incineroar and whatever and just be fine. The other big thing I saw when I was clicking on this is a wild charge Koraidon.
Yeah, I did notice that, and that's just something it makes sense that it gets that move, but also didn't know that. What place is this player finish?
It's way down here. It's a 4/4. It's like 235.
Okay, yeah.
It's way down here.
But still...
I found Regigigas and I wanted to talk about Regigigas.
Yeah, 4/4 is fine. It's a solid day. But yeah,
anytime I get to talk about Regigigas, I'm just excited because I just love that Pokemon.
It is an interesting mon.
Ho-Oh didn't do too well this event either. I just noticed that. Ho-Oh
so I think that's a little bit more expected though. Ho-Oh just felt like it didn't, and this is what we said when we did the initial coverage of Milwaukee. To me, it didn't feel like Ho-Oh was a Pokemon. It's like I'm not saying it's a bad mon. It's a good mon, but it's very much this is my meta call for the weekend mon. Like, Ho-Oh's really good into this specific meta, and it definitely moved away.
This is a 6. Holy hell.
Ironhead Giratina Origin. Today I learned that Giratina learns Ironhead.
This is a mon. This is a team.
Yeah.
Where's Alex's team? Where's Alex Underhill's team? Where did he finish? I think it was
Alex finished 265th.
Because they dropped early.
Yeah, 3-3 drop.
So I wanted to talk about this specifically because Glimmora was super duper interesting on the whole as an adaptation for the Leech Seed Calyrex Ice builds. One of the hardest things for the Leech Seed Calyrex Ice teams to beat is the Zamazenta. Like, it's the double fake out Zamazenta CSR. That is a really hard thing for you to get around if they play that perfectly. Glimmora takes that matchup and turns it into mincemeat because you get to poison everything. Because all they want to do is pivot around and fake out you. And so between Volcarona and Glimmora, you have two mons that they do not want to click fake out into. And I played this for my dojo match. I literally recreated the team for my dojo match. Played like 3 matches, won all 3, played Dan, clean 2-0 sweep. Because Glimmora is busted. Yeah. I literally just swapped Ursaluna for Glimmora, which is what this team did, and this slaps. This is amazing.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have noticed, especially with the Weezing popping up, not just for its neutralizing gas ability, but the ability to spread poison and just having the damage over time put a counter on your opponent's teams. Combined with the Calyrex Ice Rider, this leftovers Leech Seed set that has been the talk of the meta for the last 2 to 3 weeks, you're really, really putting that timer on your opponent between the poison damage every turn, the Leech Seed damage every turn. You're really able to chip away at a lot of your opponent's health in between your actual like turns where you're doing things.
Yeah.
So I think that is just a really neat thing. Like, sometimes people just have bad runs. I think this was just a bad run for Alex, but that doesn't mean that the team itself is bad. Going back from last format, Jody Azzarelli had an okayish day with the Never Met Calyrex Ice, and my local Keon Cyan took that idea and I believe finished 9th place with it. And so, like, the idea of going and bringing a good team but just not having a bad day, again, it happens.
If this makes you feel like, if this adds any validation to it, Alex losses were to Keon, Lorenzo, and then another day 2 player, Mariox.
Somehow he beat Emilio.
And he handled Emilio like cleanly on stream, which I think is just Emilio just is streamer cursed.
Emilio, well, that now also wouldn't be.
This is funny because Emilio lost this match, and then won everything else after that going into day 2. Lost an early game day 2. Did not lose anything else until they got back on camera, and then proceeded to lose that camera match.
Yeah, and to be quite honest as well, like, Emilio, I don't believe has gone to many events. I wouldn't be shocked where it's like Emilio rolled out of bed, was just given a team, and was like, okay, that screen match was like the second time they've ever played with that 6. Probably not. But like, yeah, like, it's kind of crazy how you can kind of just like, he can kind of just like show up, because at this point I think he's not definitely like not really chasing worlds outside of getting the auto qualifier.
He needed to win to qualify. He is that far out. He was like 900 something.
But I think it's like outside of, I don't think he's been to a lot of events anyway.
No, they have not been playing very many events, no.
But like, when he shows up, he does insanely well. It's just that he just decided that he doesn't feel like chasing it like he's done in the past, which is completely fine. It's always cool to see a player just still like be able to show up. It's like, oh yeah, I'm still here, still have to fear me, and then just going back in the shadows for a little.
Yeah, like this was a situation of they just happened to be close by, and so they went to play. Was there anything else that caught your eye?
Nothing really. I think we covered a lot of the other teams.
We covered a lot of the big meta things, a lot of the new adaptations.
Yeah, like the meta is pretty wild right now, and while
which is crazy thinking about, like, we've had this is our 5th going on our 6th like event for this like format, and it still just feels wide open.
Yeah, so
nothing has like pushed itself to be like the Arubega Miraidon team, where it's just the best thing you can be doing, or the Rinya Sun from Sword and Shield. Like, we have not hit that point, and this format has been adapting very quickly as well, which is very, very interesting.
Which is going to be crazy, like, thinking of where NAIC is going to be, and way out.
This is what we get to start doing next week, Ro, is we get to start helping me figure out my NAIC team.
Yeah, that will be the job. But like, I mean, I wouldn't even say NAIC. Like, what Worlds is going to be?
I don't even want to think about that until after NAIC, because we still have to get get through NAIC first, and then we have a whole month.
Yeah, a month. Actually, it's honestly, with the timing, NAIC is a little earlier this year. It's actually
going like a month and like 2 weeks, a month and a week, or a month.
I think it's going to be closer to 2 months. I might be like a month and 3 weeks. But like, there's a really good chance that the team that wins Worlds hasn't even been invented yet.
That's a very high possibility.
Yeah, which is just kind of crazy to think of when you've already had 5 regional level events to go at it. Yep. So now we get to go and do my least favorite thing, which is I have to draw this week.
I was about to say, I will draw if you don't want to. I don't.
No, I'll do it. I'll torture myself.
Then I mean, I have to go roll them on.
The people are going to like this. Let me just share my. Where is my window? Nope.
Aw, this will be a cute one.
What is it?
You get to draw Blitzel.
Okay, I could do that.
You can do that. See, it's not bad. No, they're never like some of them work.
I'm just saying, you've gotten some pretty. You've got the Porygon 2, and then Dawn Wings was a little tougher. But like, when you got Porygon 2, like that was like easy mode. Okay, it is a. I was about to say it's a giraffe. It's not a giraffe.
Not quite. Not quite.
Okay, so
different
you have
different safari animal.
the legs and no. Okay, we're going to go. We're going to go at this. I can't draw like that. That's
No,
the
it's
thing.
fine.
So we're going. No, I can't do a straight line.
Use whatever tools you need to. If you're having a hard time drawing a body, use the shape tools. It's fine.
Oh yeah, there's a shape tool. How do I do that?
So there's the too far. Other
Here?
way. Other way. Nope. Keep going. Bam.
Oh, here. What kind of tool it's like an oval. Sorry, oval. That's circle. So it's like an ovally body. And how do I fill it with? I'm gonna fill it with.
Yep. There you go.
Then it has I'm not.
Well, you can move it from there. You can once you start drawing it, you can just move it from there where you need to move it.
And then there's a little.
Yeah. See.
Head like this. It's also black. And then I'm gonna go with legs here. Because things have legs. We're going to only show the two.
Not
legs
all
here.
things have legs, but
not
yes,
all things have legs, but things have legs. This is like teaching my nephews how to do shapes. It's an oval, buddy. Blitzel does not have a tail, or like I think it's like a little nub. Yeah, it's like a little nub. It's also black. And then, okay, so I'm going to go, not that, I'm just going to draw it. It has, like, the spikes. Nope. How do I make it thicker? Brushes. Yeah, it has, like, these like, little spikes. And the spikes are white. And they go all the way up his little head. So, he's going to have little head spikes. Carl, how do I? Okay, so actually, I have an idea on how to do eyes. I'm going to do another circle right here, and I'm going to color it.
You want to change your color?
Shit, 1 minute. No, I'm fuck.
So if you want to change your color, you have to go click on.
I'm going to go there.
So what I would do here?
Put it there.
There you go. You actually have to. I would pick a different a color from the colors over here.
Right here.
Yeah, actual white, and then you can go and do your drawing and whatever.
So I can then do the shape here.
Well, usually that's how this works.
How about this? I go. It's not changing. Can't do his eyes. Because I also need to draw like the white stripes.
Yeah.
Like the lightning bolts. That's what's getting me right now. I think I need to do like I need to figure out how to do that. Okay, so if I go here.
So you go to pencil, and then you should. It's still drawing black.
Yeah, I don't like, and it's.
What if you hit the color wheel on your thingy? And then hit OK there.
Okay, here we go. So we're going to go do his little eyes. 1 minute. We'll do like a little circle. And a little mouth. He's going to smile. I'm going to do another circle here. And nose. His face is so screwed up. Nope, no, I need to change what the mouth is. I should just do a little smile here. Another little eye, because his eyes are dead inside, just like me. That's just like me in the 10th inning of the Phillies game last night. Just dead eyes. How do I? Let's just say if I do the fill like this. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, there we go. Now that your color is officially selected to white, it should.
And then actually, I'm going to do that, and then the little lightning bolts. Oh, Jesus Christ. Can I Is there?
There's a Polygon.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go.
I was say there's a Polygon for that. I
Ooh.
remembered that. As I say, there's a Polygon for it.
Just put lightning all over him because he's an electric type Pokemon. They really make you realize that. And then you're just gonna go bink, bink, boop, pop, beep, boop.
Bam.
And then I'm gonna go back to black, which is this one. And I'm gonna go give. Nope. I'm gonna go give his little eye pupils. Oop. Nope. I'm gonna like. 1 minute. If I do like a thicker brush and just go like that. God. This Pokemon feels like a hate crime.
What did you say? I missed it.
I said this Pokemon. Me doing this makes like it just feels like I'm hate criming this Pokemon, and I feel bad.
Okay, when you have it finished up, let me know.
Blitzel.
All right. I'm going to send you Blitzel in the Discord. I want you to copy paste it onto the thing.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop sharing so I don't share my DMs. Not that they're bad, but you know. Oh, okay. Well, Matt, we're just gonna open image in new tab. We're gonna go here.
So you were very, very close. You had the right idea. His feet technically are white.
Okay, yeah, I added too many stripes, spikes, but you know, spikes are cool. Spikes make everything cool. I forgot that the legs were white. Which actually I want to look at Zebstrika real quick. Zebstrika's legs, well, they're still a little white on the leg. I was taking a lot from Zebstrika because Zebstrika has
more drew Zebstrika than you drew Blitzel, but yeah, it's still really close.
Yeah, I could not remember for the life of me what color its eyes were, so it gets the black.
It's the electric
eyes.
Blue.
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah, no, honestly, not as bad.
Not as bad as you thought. Yeah, it was actually really close.
So let me save this. What do we save this as, a PNG or a JPEG?
PNG's fine. Eventually, I'm going to compile them all, and we'll have a folder, and we'll do a fun little.
This will be like an end of year like.
See how good we can get at drawing Pokemon.
See how good you like. I'm just calling mine war crimes, because that's what it felt like.
Nah, I also get to cheat because I kind of have the photographic memory, so I kind of just know what they all look like in my head.
I mostly do. Like I feel like I definitely like had a decent idea on it.
Yeah.
But
decent ideas are always the goal.
But then there's like the little things that just get you in the back of your head. Like, again, the blue eyes, or like two Pokemon that when they're in the same family that look very much alike, and you're like, okay, which part is from which one? Which is where like the main.
So you mean how Pokemon normally look when they evolve and things like that?
Sometimes
outside of like Remoraid Octillery.
Sometimes like you have like the different distinct things. But yeah.
Oh, I gotta open a booster pack for Pocket.
We'll tell you can tell the people what you get, and then we can sign off.
Does everybody want to open it with me? We can open it together. I need 4 cards.
I need 10.
I need regular Alolan Ninetales. I need Komo-o or Rangaroo, and
I can trade you Komo-o. I have like 4 of them.
There's one other one I'm missing.
I will be able to trade.
I'm missing all 3 diamonds. They're all rare, so it's just
there's
the
still
odds of
like
me getting one are like extremely low.
There's still like 1 or 2 diamonds that I'm missing. Okay, let's see it. We have Helioptile.
I can hardly see it on my screen, so you guys are gonna have to tell me what I got.
I can barely see it. I think that's a Dartrix.
That sounds right.
It's glaring so much. That is a Trumbeak. Some sort of fighting type Pokemon.
I think it's Timber. We got something
Timber?
rare back here.
Shiny
Wartortle.
Shiny Wartortle. Okay, so you opened a shiny. The pack I opened right before this had my 4th Lunala.
There you go. Now we can see it.
Yep. Yeah, the pack I opened today had my 4th.
As my screen auto
Yep.
brightens.
Lunala, like regular Lunala EX. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Nope, I'm done.
I opened Alolan Muck EX this morning, which that's my second one of those. I had opened 2 of the shiny Squirtle before this, so having a shiny Wartortle's cool.
Yesterday we went out for dinner with was my wife and her friends, and so like a few of her friends also play Pokemon Pocket, and so like I had Amanda open my pack. I got the full art Comfey.
Nice.
She opened the pack for her friend Jess. And Jess got a shiny Haunter.
It's the nighttime Lycanroc form. That's the other thing.
Yeah, and so it's like everyone gets good ones, and then our friend's husband Kurt was like, "Oh, can I like Amanda open my pack?" And he just got bulk nothing new, nothing like just
to be
all
fair,
like
that's
1
a lot
and
of
2
what my
diamonds.
packs are.
And, well, that's what it is, but it's like the fact that like everyone got good card, like a good pull, and then it's like the Charlie Brown I got a rock at the end.
I got a rock. Yeah.
My
wife opens my packs usually, or when when the timing lines up.
Same.
I have a bad habit of letting my packs build up right now because I'm not actively playing the game.
And that's the other thing. So we, at some point, like we will probably have another meta update episode. There's actually been things in VGC to talk about. We definitely will have them. I will
say the meta episodes never really do that well, unfortunately.
It's fun for me to talk about. That's more so me just.
And also, there was no real big meta change. It feels like
actually no. This meta was a lot different. Even the decks that were still good in the previous meta, they at least played relatively differently. I think that this past metagame has been pretty fun. I'm curious. We're getting our new set in 4 days. 3 at the time it comes out. Yeah, I'm curious to see how any of those cards play, and if it makes any good new decks or changes anything. At one point, we're going to get a set that's a flop. It might be this one because we've already seen 3 of the 5 EXs, and they're all just like fine. Mostly,
Guzzlord seems really strong.
Guzzlord seems really strong and annoying.
That's the last thing Darkrai needed was another mon that was just like strong and annoying.
Yeah, but we'll see. And you'll be able to hear all about that because I will definitely be talking about that on the social media and within our server. You can join us in our Discord server. The Littleroot lesson server is right now really popping. We brought the dojos back, which are... Yep, there are weekly best of 3s. You get paired with a random person in the community. It's a really, really fun way to get awesome practice in against people who are actually actively playing the game in order to, and not just a random ladder match.
It's how I'm helping determine what I'm playing in NAC in 2.5 weeks or whatever.
Exactly. You can also hear about all of our updates on our socials at Littleroot Lessons on Blue Sky. You can also follow Carter at Mr. Missouri 25 on Blue Sky. You're at Musical on Blue Sky, and I am at Rose Tinted Cheeks. You can
below.
get all below. You can get all of our updates and watch all of our videos on our YouTube channel. Carter is hard at work writing the script to his Blue Kaizo video
when he's not playing Crystal Kaizo.
I was going to say, and he's also playing Crystal Kaizo on his Twitch stream.
He used to be playing Gen 4 for the Gen Lock, but he keeps going back to the Kaizo round.
Yeah, he keeps
putting it off.
Yeah, he'll get back to the Gen Lock at some point.
It's funny. The goal was to get it done this year, and it's not going to happen this year.
It's May. He'll get to it by.
We've got Gen 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 2 of those he can't speed his way through.
Yeah, that's fair. So he will get to those, and we will get to all of those videos posted to our YouTube as well, where you can find this episode, all of our other past episodes, and you can also listen to all of our weekly podcasts on podcatchers such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the like. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Comment below what your favorite team from Portland was, what your favorite stream match was, what you think the call will be for NAIC once we get there. Thank you, and have a great week.